Okay, a warm welcome to the 5th International Queer Buddhist Conference, IQBC, here on Zoom. After I founded IQBC with organizing the first International Queer Buddhist Conference, which took place in 2021, this is already the 5th. Having realized that LGBTQIA plus or queer people also in the Buddhist community need a safe space, not only in families or among jobs, societies all around the world, but that in Buddhist communities, queer people seem to be neglected, invisible, or not wanted. I once was told that a real Buddhist wouldn't be queer, for example. Well, I thought we have to get up, stand up all over the globe for our rights. And meanwhile, the political climate all around the world gets harder. So it's important or urgent to not get back or in the closet. After the first IQBC, attendees wanted me to have a conference best every day. Okay, that's impossible. You all know that. But I understood how important it is to stay in touch all around the globe, to network or collaborate, how important it is to stay in touch and to support each other. And luckily, my webmaster, who is a supportive ally from the beginning, has supported me with being responsible for the website iqbc.org. I'm very grateful for Melanie. On the other hand, I'm grateful for the other ally, Miriam, long-term friend from studying together at the university, who has been creating or organizing the awesome space for us in Gather Town, where during the previous conferences, we could have had a beautiful break. This time, due to the increasing prices of this space, I had to decide to let it go from Gather Town, because I have been keeping the conference going by my own little money, and on the other hand, by donations, if people can. So I would like to encourage, no, I don't, you, usually if there would have been more people, I would have say I encourage you to donate. I will not do that here in this small group. This means that we are celebrating this gathering of the 5th IQBC here on Zoom only, not on Gather Town. And if you like, also during the breaks or after the conference, chatting here on Zoom. My webmaster Melanie created also a link for the art and poetry of this year's conference on IQBC, if you like to check it out. Usually these things are especially art and poetry have been on Gather Town, like films also. This year, the title is Buddhism, Human Rights, Queer Rights versus Abuse. And I'm thrilled to have two beautiful professors here as keynote speakers. One is Professor Ann Glick, the other is Professor Amy Paris Langenberg, whom I, by the way, once met on a conference in real life in India in 2013, I think. The theme of the conference is getting more and more important in these days when our rights to exist are threatened. Human rights are not the same like natural right. Human rights are made by humans, and the existence of human rights, therefore, is dependent on if or how humans handle it. Are human rights universal? Some deny it, for example, for women, etc. The basis for human rights is, on one hand, a common idea what means to be a human, and on the other hand, a common legal system. Therefore, there are two variables that are interpreted differently, not only internationally, but also within many countries. Quote, "The modern concept of human rights gained significant prominence after World War II, particularly in response to the atrocities of the Holocaust, leading to the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations General Assembly in 1948. This document outlined a comprehensive framework of rights that countries are encouraged to protect, setting a global standard for human dignity, freedom, and justice." End of quote. And December 10 is the International Day of Human Rights, but human rights seem not to be interested. That means de facto, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is Eurocentric, either the concept of humankind or the legal system. Since many states, for example, former colonies, are oriented or still dependent internationally, dependent towards the European legal system, it was possible to create two internationally binding and thus applicable laws in 1966. The freedom and the social rights. The freedom rights mean an international covenant on civil and political rights. The social rights mean an international covenant on economic, social, and cultural rights. Since 2002, crimes against these rights have been prosecutable at the International Criminal Court in The Hague. The majority of United Nations member states have signed the treaties and recognized the court. Incidentally, the US did not recognize the court. Human rights compliance is monitored primarily by NGOs, which also influence the interpretation of the law. For example, the law explicitly refers to the equality of women as a human right, from which the rights of queer people are derived. In this way, NGOs ensure that the law is updated and adapted to the social realities. NGOs, initiatives, and the commitment of individual personalities are correspondingly important. Therefore, it's important or even urgent that NGOs and individuals collaborate to support human rights for everyone, because queer rights are endangered worldwide. And it has to be clear that queer rights are human rights that must be defended. And this, although people are already scared to stand up for their rights, and they prefer to unsolicitedly go back into the closet. So this fifth IQBC is smaller this time because even those who consider to present step back out of being scared to show their face in public. Well, I think we are LGBTQIA+, we are gay, and we have allies. And yes, we stay, let's get up, stand up, as Bob Marley said, for our human rights and for our queer rights. Therefore, today I'm delighted to welcome such important representatives here. And we don't step back, and they don't step back. And I would like to emphasize how invaluable their contributions are to LGBTQIA+ people. Let me introduce Professor Anne Gleick and Professor Amy Paris Langenberg. And Gleich, I hope I speak the name correctly. I didn't know if it's Gleich or Glick, but you can teach me later, is an associate professor of religion and cultural studies at the University of Central Florida. She's the author of American Dharma, Buddhism Beyond Modernity, and editor with Scott A. Mitchell of the Oxford Handbook of American Buddhism, and many more. Amy Paris Langenberg is professor of religion at Eckerd College. She is the author of Birth in Buddhism, The Suffering Fetus and Female Freedom, as well as numerous peer-reviewed articles. Her research is focused on gender and sexuality in Buddhism and female Buddhist monasticism. Anna and Amy have just finished a book-length study of sexual abuse in America and in American and transnational Buddhism to be published by Yale University Press, and as far as I know, in 2026, so next year. And yes, the subject is triggering, so feel free to take a look on the helplines on IQBC.org. These helplines are worldwide for every country, which we get. Only one sentence in addition. I have meanwhile a new puppy, which is sleeping at the moment, luckily. It's the rebirth or regeneration, to use this term of the sci-fi series Doctor Who, of my previous Doberwoman. And she wants to become a Great Dane. So yeah, so it's possible that I have to run with them in the garden for doing their business, but there will always be a co-host for your safety. And now, you're warm welcome to Professor Anne Gleich and Professor Amy Langenberg. Thank you for sharing your insight.